So there was a question posed to me on asking how COVID-19 has impacted my life. At the beginning of COVID-19 on the Navajo Nation, I was deemed an essential employee and worked at the Navajo Nation Health Command Center. There, I was part of the logistics team where I oversaw the labor, the supplies that came into the Navajo Nation. At the beginning, when I worked there, we worked long hours. It was 8 a.m. to almost 10 p.m. nightly. And so with that, traveling back and forth from Chinle to Window-Rock every day that I was assigned took a toll, not only on myself, but my family in general. My family wondered if I was okay with all these new cases coming in. They sat and wondered if I would be safe on the road with all the craziness that was going on. Then I was relocated to the regional stockpile area that Navajo Nation has as the warehouse manager. There it became easier to work as I only worked mainly 8 to 5. But then I started to find that we had a alternative care site right next door. And so individuals with positive cases started coming in to that care site. And so it felt like I was more closely, like I guess you could say, more close to those individuals who had tested positive, even though we were in two separate buildings. So that mentality or that thought process of, oh my goodness, I'm potentially in danger, crossed my mind again. And just the whole mental status of trying to stay positive for my family took a toll on me. And it started to reiterate in how my children acted, how my family acted, and just even my spouse, how he had a grave concern of me being at that area. So I actually stepped down in August of 2020 from being as part of the Navajo Nation Health Command structure, and went back to my regular duties. So when the concept of this class is how COVID-19 has impacted your life, I sat and I thought, okay, the number of cases are reported daily. The number of deaths are reported daily. Those individuals working at hospitals, their status is reported pretty much daily. EMS, Navajo Nation EMS, Navajo Nation Fire, Navajo Nation PD, their status was reported daily. But not the status of those employees who were not frontline employees or first responders. So that's where my question came to be of how are the status of the mental health of those employees who worked at the Navajo Nation Health Command Center who weren't part of the frontline employees. So that's how my question came to be. And also seeing how this whole thing has impacted me, my family. I want to see if it was similar to those others that also had to work there. So that was my question, and I did choose an individual to ask her about how it impacted her, as she did also have young children just like I did. But to see if it being the first time for her during an emergency, to see if that changed her thought process or changed her impression of working at the Navajo Nation Health Command Center, or even working during a Navajo Nation declared emergency. I created 12 questions to ask to see if the mental health status was similar to mine, and to see if it had the same impact that it had on me. Well, after reviewing the answers for these questions, I found that it was more of the uncertainty of COVID-19 in general. Whereas in other emergencies for me, I found that we saw the end result. We saw that there was an end point to this emergency. And where this emergency, there is really no insight. Everybody is just starting to hunker down and say, okay, we need to figure out how to stop this. So that was what it came to be, where it was more of the uncertainty. And that uncertainty caused a lot of more stress for staff. it also crept into their families, their daily lives. So in this whole research project, I'm finding that looking back at all the emergencies I've been a part of, this has been the most strenuous. This has caused the most heartache, knowing that this could have been prevented if our individuals on Navajo Nation had just listened. As in any other emergency, there was just too many people asking for handouts, too many people gathering saying, where is this for us? Rather than staying home saying, okay, we can handle this. If I can stay home, I can listen. So looking at this in the long run, Navajo Nation needs to, or actually the leaders need to enforce what they're saying, not only for themselves, but for the people. And the concept of staying home needs to trickle down from our leaders. If you have leaders running around to different cities to get their own supplies, yet telling us not to leave the reservation, how are people gonna stop going elsewhere? So in that, it just shows that we just don't listen anymore. It's all about what can I gain from this? And those individuals working hard to ensure that this disease is combated suffer because they're the ones who have to work. There are still individuals working from March of 2020 at the Navajo Nation Health Command Center who can't take a break. They're working 12-hour days while we get to sit here and say, okay, woe is me while we're at home. So with this, I think what I would change is to have the leaders understand the whole incident command structure and have them follow it and not have politics get involved in any of this emergency process. Secondly, I think that it's shown that I know in the next emergency who I can rely on, which staff are able to step up and say, I'm here for the people, not reaching out, not showing their hand saying, where's my benefit? Put something in my hand for me.